Everybody knows that GTA Online is a really fun game about making lots of money and buying properties, so you can then use these properties to make even more money for yourself. And for a lot of us, the grind never ends, but some businesses are just plain better at money making compared to others. This is why in today's video, I'm going to break down every single business in GTA Online and tell you which ones suck and which ones rock. After the Agents of Sabotage DLC update, we now have 23 different businesses to choose from, and I will give each one of these a ranking, starting with the garbage tier at the absolute bottom, going all the way up to God tier at the very top. Starting things off at the bottom of our list, we have the document forgery office, which is undeniably garbage tier. Not only does this business make an abysmal $20,000 per hour with equipment and staff upgrades, but the locations are also trash as they're really far from most of your other activities that you'll be doing in this game. The Textile City document forgery office is kind of decent, but it costs $1.2 million, which is definitely not worth the abysmal returns that you'll be getting by purchasing it. I wouldn't even recommend this business to beginners because there are far better ways to make money that don't require nearly the same amount of time investment. At number 2, we've got the Arena Workshop, and I believe this one also belongs in the garbage tier unless you really like the Arena War game modes for some reason, in which case it might be more valuable to you. The only real benefit though of purchasing the Arena Workshop outside of the money-making activities itself is that you get the 30-car garage and the on-site mechanic to customize all your Arena War vehicles. The Arena War itself is pretty bad for money-making, even when it's paying double cash. One tier up from the garbage tier is the bad tier, and these ones are slightly better than the last two in terms of total payout and quality of content, but I'd still advise against them if you're a serious grinder because they're just not worth the time investment. Take, for example, the high-end apartment, which gives you access to the 5 OG heists. These did get a payout buff in 2022, but they still aren't worth your time unless you're a new player and have literally never played them before. Even then, you can just get into a party for these heists and don't have to actually own a high-end apartment unless you're the one hosting. For new players, this is definitely not a purchase you want to waste your money on just for the sake of doing the heists. Obviously, you want a bunch of high-end apartments for the garage access and things like that, but for money-making potential, I am relegating it here to the bad tier. The next entry in the bad tier is the facility. Now, if you're a rich guy in GTA Online with a few $1,000,000 to spare and a tank to store, you might actually be interested in purchasing a facility. By itself, this business doesn't really offer anything, which is why I put it in the bad tier. But if you really enjoy the Doomsday Heist, you might rank it higher. I personally feel like the Doomsday Heist isn't worth it to grind money because it's not solo friendly and it takes way too long to do. But say if you got a ton of friends and you've got players in your friend group who like a challenge and like playing through the heist, it might be the perfect heist for you. By the way, owning a facility also gives you access to the orbital laser cannon, which is the most expensive way of killing someone in the game, and it lets people know that you've got cash to burn. Quite literally. Now that we've dealt with the garbage and the bad tiers, let's talk about the next category. This one includes businesses that aren't terrible, but they aren't good either, which makes them mid. Most things in life are mid, to be honest, and that's what makes the great things great. So first in mid-tier, we've got the bail office, which was introduced in June of 2024, and so this is the second most recent business in the game, behind the Darnell Brothers Garment Factory. However, the bail office isn't all that impressive because of the mediocre income and comparatively high acquisition cost, unless you really like grinding the same bounty targets over and over and over until your eyes bleed, in which case, it's technically possible to make up to $150,000 an hour at the expense of your sanity, but there are also bail agents who you can employ to do the dirty work for you. But the problem is these guys cost $750,000 each to employ, and they bring in a measly combined $20K or so every single hour. Yeah, definitely not worth it. The only way to get people interested in the bail office is by buffing the bounty payouts or adding more targets with decreased cooldowns. Until then, I will give this business a mid rating. The next mid-tier business is the Walter White Math Lab, where you can make shiny blue crystals that supply the youth of GTA Online with the motivation they need to go on a murderous rampage throughout the city of Los Santos. Now, while the lab can pump out $40,000 per hour with all upgrades, it doesn't quite reach the level of the Coca-Cola lockup, which is why I'm leaving it in the mid-tier. Then we've got the Counterfeit Cash Factory, which operates similarly to other MC businesses, but again, I'm going to put this one in the mid-tier because it only generates $40,000 per hour, and there are far better sources of passive income in the game that don't cost $2 million to set up and operate, and also don't take you a ton of time to sell. Next in mid-tier is the Vehicle Warehouse. It's a fun business, and it's kind of like the Special Cargo Warehouse, but it doesn't quite match up to its big brother, as you have to do a ton of work to make money from this business first. And if you only target top-range vehicles and do sell missions in a public lobby, you can actually make some pretty decent cash, but in order to game the system, you must source 10 standard range vehicles, then 10 medium range vehicles, and keep all these in your warehouse to guarantee that you'll only get top range vehicles vehicles from here on out. And if you put in the legwork to properly set things up, the vehicle warehouse can actually be good, but due to its unpredictable nature, I'm gonna put it in the mid tier for right now. Let me know what you think in the comments. Have you had great success with the vehicle warehouse? And did you use the stockpiling strategy of 10 mid, 10 standard, and then 12 top range vehicles to only source and sell top range vehicles? I think that's definitely the best way to run this business. And for all my stoner friends out there, we have in GTA Online the grass farm, where with this business you can grow that magical green grass. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, but I don't recommend purchasing this business early on, and I'm actually going to put it in the mid tier again because of its subpar payout. At $34,000 per hour, it is better than the document forgery lab, but the Coca-Cola lockup as well as the counterfeit cash factory are still going to be superior sources of income, making this actually the second worst MC business in the entire game. Moving on to the good tier, we've got the arcade, which sits comfortably in the good tier. The main reason I put this business in the good tier is because of the Diamond Casino heist, which is considered by some players to be the best heist in the game, alongside of course Cayo Perico, because of just how much cash you're able to earn from it. And on top of that, the arcade also has the master control terminal, which lets you resupply all of your businesses from one location without having to travel to each individual business, saving you tons of time and improving your grind routine. The auto shop from the LS Tuners DLC is also going to fit into the good tier here because you can earn over $400,000 an hour with contracts. Now let me explain. First, you get to choose from a roster of 8 contracts. Most of these pay anywhere from $170,000 to $185,000 per contract, and they take about 20 to 30 minutes to complete. But there is one contract called the Union Depository contract, which pays out a whopping $300,000, even though it doesn't take any more time than the normal contracts, and in some cases is actually quicker than most of them in the game. You can't redo the same contract because there's a cooldown, but you can easily make $470,000 an hour by doing the Union Depository contract combined with any other one. And that's not all. The auto shop also unlocks every single vehicle upgrade in the game, irrespective of your level, and you get a discount since you're the shop owner. So if you love tinkering with vehicles and upgrading them, the auto shop is one of the coolest purchases you can make in GTA Online. Also in the good tier, we've got the bunker, and the gun running business generates $60,000 an hour with equipment and staff upgrades, which is nothing special, but if you combine it with the ammunition contract drop-offs, you earn an additional $50,000 for a total of $110,000 per hour. The only downside I can see is that for a solo player, selling a full bar of product involves 4 sell vehicles sometimes, so there's going to be a lot of back and forth. Oh, and don't forget to invest in the research section of the bunker because you can unlock some pretty awesome weapon upgrades from the armory. On to our next business, it is the Coca-Cola lockup. Now, in my opinion, this is the best MC business in the game, and it earns itself a well-deserved spot in the good tier due to its really solid payout and passive nature. Similar to other MC businesses and the bunker, all you have to do is purchase resupplies and go on the occasional sell mission to make $60,000 an hour with this business. And yes, you can definitely cosplay as Tony Montana while doing your deliveries. And if you really want to cosplay as a crime lord, you definitely need a CEO office, which can be yours for the bargain price of just $1 million if you go with the Maze Bank West location option. And I'm actually going to put this business in the good tier as well. I know some of you have questions at this point, so let me explain. By itself, the CEO office isn't all that great of a business. Sure, you can do the mixed export goods option and missions, which pay $50,000 every 48 minutes that you can do them, but the real reason anyone buys a CEO office is so that they can gain access, one, to the CEO office garage, but also the special storage warehouse as well as the vehicle warehouses. The special storage and special cargo warehouses by themselves make the CEO office a worthwhile purchase. Next up, we have the hangar, which is definitely going into the good tier as well. Originally, players just thought of the hangar as a place where they could park their aircraft, and they treated it as a luxury business, similar to the facility, for example. This was something you purchased if you already had lots of cash from a starter business like the Acid Lab or Auto Shop. But nowadays, after the recent buffs, the hangar has transformed into a top tier money maker, especially for solo players. The air freight cargo missions work similarly to the special cargo warehouse. You source crates, then you sell them to make a profit. And it's easy to make over $700,000 an hour with the land sourcing and selling methods if you have a fast aircraft like the Raiju, making the hangar one of the top earners on my list. But it does have a pretty steep initial cost, so keep that in mind when purchasing it. Now, I definitely put this one off for a while, but it's finally time to talk about the special cargo warehouse. It is one of the best ways of making money in GTA Online, even though the grind can get a bit monotonous as all you're doing is collecting crates and fighting the same NPCs over and over and over. Alternatively, you can use your technicians in the warehouse to passively source your crates for you and wait until your special cargo goes on double money to sell for over $3 $3 or $4 million at a time. Now, all things considered, I'm going to put the special cargo warehouse in the good tier because now with the Lupe technicians, you can passively source your crates and sell whenever you want. If you're interested in any of the MC businesses we discussed, you first need to, of course, own the MC Clubhouse, so that's going to automatically jump it up to the good tier because that's also where we put the Coca-Cola lockup, but there's more that you could do with this business. Bike deliveries pay $50,000 every 48 minutes, sort of like exporting mixed goods or the bunker ammunition contracts, and you'll also find a selection of biker missions that take around 10 minutes to complete with a payout of $30,000 each, but the standout one is the Life and Death Bikes mission, which is the contract you want to farm over and over if you can. So not only is it the foundation upon which all of your other MC businesses are built on, but as a standalone business, it actually is a decent source of income on its own. Now for the final business in the good tier, we've got the salvage yard, which has 3 different ways of making money. The first 2 are the office safe as well as the tow truck missions, but the third and most profitable way to earn money from the salvage yard is by stealing expensive vehicles that are worth $400,000 per sell mission, or up to that. These take just under an hour if you know what you're doing, and if you're one of the unlucky few who purchased the document forgery office without doing any research, only to get disappointed, I have great news for you. During specific weeks, you actually have the option to claim one of the expensive stolen cars worth over $400,000 as your absolute own for just a lowly fee of $10,000, which means your document forgery office isn't entirely useless after all. Now we finally arrived at the God tier. To kick things off, we've got the Acid Lab, which is easily one of the best sources of income in GTA Online, especially for solo players, and it's for 2 main reasons. First, it's extremely beginner friendly as you can get that Brigade 6x6 vehicle that you need for the Acid Lab for free by doing the first dose missions. Sure, you need to spend $750,000 to actually set up your lab and even more money to upgrade the equipment, but you'll easily get most of this done just by doing the first dose and fooligan missions. Secondly, the Acid Lab can comfortably generate over $100,000 per hour, and this is before the public lobby high demand bonus, which adds up to 50% extra on top, bringing you close to $160,000 an hour. Don't forget, you can even name your acid product for even more cash from that sale. Now it's time to talk about one of my favorite businesses in the game, which is the agency. What makes the agency so special is the fact that it's extremely versatile. You can make money from security contracts, payphone hits, or even the Dr. Dre VIP contract, which rewards you with $1 million for just 1.5 hours of gameplay. Even the payphone hits are really lucrative if you complete the bonus challenges, because Franklin is going to pay you an extra $70,000 on top of the base payout, and these only take 5 minutes per hit, making them extremely time efficient, especially for new players. And then we've got the nightclub in the God tier, which is considered by many to be the best source of passive income in the game because it's so easy to operate and it makes loads of passive money. I'm putting this one in the excellent tier and the God tier right next to the Acid Lab. And one thing I must remind you of is that on its own, the nightclub isn't that impressive, but once you own other businesses like the Math Lab, the Bunker, or the Special Cargo Warehouse, for example, you can go into your nightclub and assign technicians to each of these businesses who will source materials for you. And this is different from resupplying because you don't actually have to do anything other than assign 5 technicians to the best businesses that you own. Combining this with the office safe, which can make you up to $50,000 on its own if you have max popularity per hour, the nightclub is capable of generating $100,000 an hour if you do that with the sale missions as well. And the best part is that it's completely passive income. So you can be doing other stuff or even go AFK if you want, and it's still going to keep generating you that money. The next God tier entry on my list is the newly released Darnell Bros Garment Factory. Mainly because it's new, but also because it's really good. And if you've watched my previous videos on the Agents of Sabotage DLC, you'll know that the regular FIB missions give you around $200,000 each, and they can be done in under 30 minutes with a 5-minute cooldown between files. That's a solid chunk of cash for 30-minute mini heists, and the cooldown is also really low, which means you can spam these FIB files to easily earn $400,000 per hour. But wait, that's not even the best part. Every week, you also have a high priority mission that pays you out over $300,000, and that's before you add in the bonus for completing optional challenges. With the bonus, you'll easily make up to $450,000 from the priority file, and it only takes 30 minutes like the regular missions. So while it can get a bit repetitive after you've played through all 4 missions multiple times, the content is fairly easy, and it also has a really low cooldown between missions with solid payouts, which is why the Garment Factory easily makes it into the God tier, especially while it's brand new. And now it's time for an oddball. The Kasatka submarine, which takes the top spot on my list and for today's video. Yes, I know, it's a vehicle and not a business, but hear me out. What other vehicle in the game provides better returns for your money? With the Kasatka, you unlock the Cayo Perico heist, which to this day is the #1 money grinding method used by basically everyone. If you do everything right, you can make about $1.2 million on average in less than an hour, so with just 2 heists, you recover the cost of your submarine and make a profit on top of that. Because of this, I'm confidently putting the Kasatka at the top of the god tier and declare it the best business in the game. But anyways, guys, that's all the time I have for today's video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Which businesses in GTA Online are your favorite? And would you rank any of these that I put here in today's video differently in different tiers? If you found this video entertaining, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more GTA Online videos like this. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios, amigos.